Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I'll be going through my round 6 selection, seeing how it was a shocking round for me. But I ended up, because of all the good work that I've done in the first couple rounds, first 4 or so rounds tipping wise, I've been able to hold my rank relative, and I think I might have even gone up like 20 places or something like that, even though I only got a 5 out of 9 because, we did have some complete upsets that basically no one tipped. But yeah, before we get into the video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into the video. So I'll do it this way and I'll just read out the tips off the iPad. But I had Carlton by 10. As you can see here, they won by 19. So I was 9 points off there. That is a respectable margin for a margin game. And yeah, I was pretty happy with this one. Listen, Bulldogs kicked a goal on the siren to peg it back, and that probably helps me save a couple ranks as well, just helping out the margin by 6. Then we move on to GWS against West Coast Eagles, and I predicted GWS to win by 7. They ended up winning by 20, so a fair bit off in that prediction, but West Coast Eagles could serve us up anything, we know that. So for me to be only 13 points off there is a good start. Then we move down into the game that started the rot, I guess. I predicted Melbourne to win this by 17, so I was 27 points off there. And if you actually look at the split here of the quarter by quarter, I'm pretty sure you'll see that Melbourne might have even been up by 12 points at one point. If we look here at the splits here, 1 second, they were up by 16 points at 1 point. So I was 1 point off their largest margin, but their third quarter, they conceded 25 points to 1. 25 points to 6. So that just erased everything that happened, and Adelaide just got over the top. Emily Marinoff just had a day out, and they ended up smoking them in the end. Well, not really smoking them, but they won by 10, and they take up top spot and a game clear. Not percentage clear, obviously, because percentages are so out of whack still with the females because they have lower scores. So those sort of 5-10 point margins create a lot of difference. And those like 60-70 point thrashings just massively inflate percentages. But yeah, so I was a little bit off there. That was the first wrong tip for me. And then you've got here St Kilda against Hawthorn. I predicted St Kilda by 12. They won by 9. So that was a really good tip. So that was 3 off, doing really well as per my margin for the whole round at the moment. But we'll see that sort of gets destroyed with some of the games upcoming. But yeah, so St Kilda beat that. Then we go to the Port Adelaide, or Yatapu, the indigenous name for Port Adelaide, I'll just put it at that, against Sydney. Sydney won by 15. I predicted by 14, so that was 1 off there. And at this point I was thinking, this is what I didn't know actually the margins, but I knew that I had tipped 4 out of 5, so I was pretty good at this point. And then this is where it just goes downhill. Just completely goes downhill. Brisbane kicked 3 goals 10. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. I think they kicked 4 behinds in the second half. Collingwood come from behind, win that. I predicted Brisbane by 35. They ended up losing by 5. So that was 40 points off in its own. So just a terrible pick. Then I go and remember when I said this as well, that Brisbane are definite, I'll tip them. Geelong are definite, I'll tip them. Yeah, they weren't definite. They lost. So I remember last week definitely saying that those two were going to win and skipping completely over those matchups, thinking that other matchups were going to be the tough games to pick, and ended up getting those 2 wrong. So Geelong I said by 32. They ended up losing by 10. So that was 42 points off. So the 2 big margins that I basically called, I was off. Then I said Richmond by 7, and I think I remember saying that this game was going to be close. And they ended up losing on the siren by a point, so I was 8 points off there. Richmond really should have probably won that game, but in the end they just got overrun by a really, really good Gold Coast side. And I keep on getting Gold Coast wrong. Then we go over to Kangaroos versus Fremantle, and you can see here Kangaroos won by 45, and I was 12 points off there as I predicted them to win by 33. So if I add up the tips quickly, 22, 49 points off, 53. Then we go over here, 93, 135, 155 off. That seems very much attuned to sort of the range that I get. If Brisbane and Geelong hadn't lost, you could have almost counted that margin in half. If they had won by what they were expected to do, at least. So yeah, that was a bad round. 155 and only getting 5 tips right is a bad round. So yeah, that was. I'm just in almost disbelief that that what happened. That I was able to get 4 tips inside 10 points and 2 more inside 14. So I was able to get 5 inside 14, and I still ended up basically flopping the round. I got 5, which is the worst round that I've had. I'm just putting in all the wrong tips. So yeah, going on a 3-game losing streak was not the goal coming into the round. But now we move on to round 7, I guess, and hopefully we can get some better results. So let's move on to round 7 here. And first up, we have Adelaide against the team that has not won a game yet. And this is tomorrow. So this is a Friday night game, which is good. So I in firm belief that Adelaide are going to trounce this game. It's just picking the margin in this game that's going to be their hard part, as they are playing a winless Western Bulldogs side that I called from the start were going to be horrible after their first couple games. They haven't really put up a fight. So Adelaide's going to win this. So I hate to put a definite on it, but I should at least get the tip right here. So it's just about picking the margin. And what is is the margin going to be 20 or is it going to be 40? I think is the thinking that I'm going on, because Western Bulldogs lost to Carlton by 19. The week before that, Western Bulldogs lost to St Kilda by 18. The week before that, Western Bulldogs lost to Gold Coast by 4 points. The week before that, Western Bulldogs lost to where are they? I have completely lost them. Where are they? Are they first game? No, they're not there. Oh, they lost to Melbourne by 42. So that is Melbourne by 42 is sort of a benchmark there that we can use off and we can go off. They lost to Hawthorn by 7. Didn't expect that. And do we have any other tips that we can sort of use? Where are they in this round? They lost to Geelong by 48 points. This was back when Geelong were actually decent. Geelong have fallen off since then. So I think a respectable tip is not 80. I think a respectable tip is 45 points. I think that's around the marker that we go for, because they lost to Geelong, as we said, by 48. They lost to Adelaide by... not Adelaide. They lost to Melbourne by 42. So I think somewhere around that 40... Because I do credit that Western Bulldogs have gotten slightly more competitive than their first couple rounds. But they've lost Berry and they've also lost another girl as well. So I think 45 fends off from pretty much anything other than a a really tight game, like a 5-point game. So I think that fends off from everything, and I still think 45 is definitely within the range. So I think it is a sort of safe margin pick to go for 45, as it helps in case there's a blowout of like 70 or 80 points. Then we save that, but also it saves it. I'm basically going to be within 30 of the margin, in my opinion. Whichever way it goes from a thrashing or sort of a close game, but a 40-point game could easily happen, because if Western Bulldogs score 20-30 points, then it will be, I think, a 40-point game. Then we go over to St Kilda against GWS. St Kilda have actually been alright. If we look here, they've got 3-3. I think they've been respectable, actually, for what I put in their preseason. Sort of what I saw in the first couple weeks. I thought they were going to be a lot worse, but they've actually turned it around here. And to be 3-3 is actually respectable. And they're playing GWS. GWS have been alright, but I just think St Kilda will run slightly over them. I think St Kilda have gotten some really good scalps in the last couple of weeks. or last month or so. So I think they're going to win this game against GWS, and I think they're going to win it by, I think, 23 points. Because GWS struggled to a certain degree against West Coast, and not many teams are struggling against West Coast. I still think, even with everything that's going on with Geelong, them being, you could almost say, horrendous, I still think they get the job done over Fremantle, who did Freo play last round? Freo played, jog my memory, who did they played North, and they lost by 45 points. So I still think Freo are going to be they're going to put up a fight against Geelong. So I don't think it's going to be that huge margin. I still think Geelong will get the job done, but I think we're going to see a margin of like 16, 17 points. So something's not clicking with Geelong at the moment, but I think they still have enough firepower to get it done. Sydney against Hawthorn. I'm going to tip my girls in Sydney against the Hawks. I think they just have enough. They're really working well. That midfield is starting to work really well with Moffat, Gardner. I'm sure if I was to bring up the DFS stats, that will probably come out at like 4 p.m. knowing how late they are. That you'll see Ham starting to get more midfield time, and you'll start to see that rotation firm up with the CBAs, and I think that will really help the Swans getting a sort of tight-knit midfield. And I just think Cynthia Hamilton's starting to click into gear as well at the moment. So I think that they will get the job done here by, I think, 13 points. I don't think it will be an onslaught because the Swans never kick away because they're never that deadly accurate. They're always about 3 or 4 behind, 3 or 4 more behinds than goals. But I think Hawthorn will at least put up a fight, but I think Swans will just end up holding on, I guess. Then we come on to the Q Clash, and this one's an interesting one because Brisbane lost last week. So Brisbane, from what I remember, they've lost 2 games, and I believe in round 2, I don't know if they played against an easier opponent, but I'm pretty sure they came out and they played against Port, which is an easy opponent, but they came out and absolutely flogged them. So after a loss, so I think there's going to be some type of response here, and both games are 4-2, separated by percentage, but I just think that Brisbane, they need to get their jog on, and I think they're one of those top teams that have had a surprise loss and need to gain back a little bit here. So I think you'll see that Brisbane will win this in a tight game. I think it will be a really actually good game to watch, but I'm still expecting Brisbane to win by 19 points as they kick away at the end. Then we have Richmond versus Essendon, and this game's actually a good game to pick, honestly. Richmond here, you can see 3-3, Essendon 4-2. Richmond have beaten Brisbane, which was a good win, but they did lose to on the siren to Gold Coast. Who did Essendon play? Essendon last week beat Geelong. That was a surprise as well, so count that in. Richmond lost to Freo. That's a bad loss. And you have Essendon losing to Collingwood. Okay. They sort of all muddling itself up, isn't this? You can just see they beat Freo, and who else are we're looking at Richmond. Richmond beat Carlton. Again, just throwing results, sort of everyone beating everyone around them. They lost to Essendon. Then we go to round 2, and you see that Richmond lost to Adelaide. Okay, and we're looking for Essendon beat St Kilda, and then round 1, what did Essendon do? Essendon beat Hawks, and Richmond beat Brisbane. This is such a tight one to call because my head's saying go for Essendon, but something in me is saying that Richmond will get the job done over Essendon here. So I'm going to risk it here, and this is going to be a massive one, but I'm going to say Richmond get the job done over Essendon, which is probably going to blow up in my face, but let's have some fun here, I guess. Richmond to get the job done by 9 points over Essendon. Then we move over. How is this even a contest? How is that one even? How have 16% of people chosen Port Adelaide? There isn't 16% of Port Adelaide fans tipping on this website. So yeah, I don't know what's wrong with that, but North are going to win. North have to win this game. And I think North are going to win it by 50 points. Like, I'm just going to put 50 points straight there. I'm just going to move on. Carlton against Collingwood. And if we look at the table, Carlton 4-2, Collingwood 6-3. Let's look back at their results just to see here. Carlton here have gotten... Collingwood beat Brisbane, shock result. And what did Carlton do? Carlton beat Western Bulldogs, sort of there or thereabouts. Carlton beat Sydney, and we're looking at Collingwood beat Essendon, so another good result for both teams. Carlton lost to Richmond. Collingwood lost to St Kilda. Then we move down to round 3, and you see Collingwood lost to Gold Coast, and then you also have here, where's Carlton? Where's Carlton beat West Coast, but that's sort of anyone's going to beat West Coast, it seems like at the moment. Then you have here Collingwood beating Freo, and obviously Carlton getting smoked. And then Carlton beating Gold Coast, and Collingwood, where are they? Collingwood. Did I miss them somewhere here? They're somewhere in here. Oh, they lost the first game of the year to Melbourne. So if I'm gonna tip that this is a result that I think could go either way, but I just think I like the look of Collingwood at the moment. They are playing out of their skin and playing up to their full potential, and I really do think that Bree Davey could be on for a massive game against Carlton. So I'm going to pick Collingwood by, I think, 11 points here. Then we move on. Melbourne are going to win this game, or Nam. Melbourne's going to win this game, and they're going to win it by 65 points, honestly. I think it's going to be an absolute thrashing. So those are the tips there for the round. So if we go back... it's not wanting to do my hotkeys for me, probably because I've been recording for too long. But those are the tips there for the round. And I guess I'll catch you guys in the round 8 preview. That will come out, I think, Friday, but I'll record it on Thursday night or something like that. But anyway, that is the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.